Okay, so welcome once again. So by the time Captain Sandhya joins us, can we have a quick feedback of the last class or any afterthoughts about the last class?
So I think, ma'am, it was interesting. It was very nice. And in fact, I was planning to give a small session on the same lines to my managerial team, just to take a feedback as to how it will be taken up by the resident doctors or somewhere. But though I didn't get time to do it, but I had that in mind that I will do it.
Wonderful. So I think that's a wonderful idea. If all of you can, start, practicing the same session that we do here with your audience. One is that you will get first-hand experience.
Yeah.
And second, whatever challenges or difficulties you face, that can be, discussed in the group. We all can collectively discuss and see how that can be dealt with. And also we can learn from each other's, experience sharing.
So I will definitely do it. The last week I could not do it, Dr. Indu, but I think I'm planning that this week I will do this and I'll give you a feedback.
True. That will be really nice. That will be really nice. So welcome, Captain Sandhya. We were waiting for you to join. So we thought meanwhile we'll quickly have a feedback of the last session. We have just begun. You have not missed anything.
Okay. Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Sandhya. How are you?
Fine. Thank you.
Yeah. So anybody else who would like to share their experience with this topic, or if you tried your hands or you had some, something to share with all of us?
Yes. Hello.
Yes, please.
We have discussed with my team and I have shared the first lecture experience and everything. But conclusion, everybody is telling that, yes, we know we are making the mistake. The doctors are making the mistake, nurses are making the mistake, the technicians are making the mistake. But finally, what is the root cause? How we can improve it? Yeah. We know the communication most important. And the most important thing is, the doctors, the consultant. Everywhere they are the most, the not listener people. So how to control them, how to convert them for the clinical communication.
So, Sir Mishra, your concern is very genuine. And I think we discussed with Dr. Pinky also the same thing. And most of you must be facing the same problem, how to train the consultants. Yes. So I would ask you to shift your focus. See, first of all, I would not blame just the doctor for not communicating well. It is all of us. I think we all have to take responsibility and not blame any one person or any one profession. That will not be fair, actually. That is one thing. Second thing is what I feel, that rather than, targeting the consultants for not communicating effectively, if we can compensate by creating a proactive communication environment where each team member, right from the security guard to the front desk staff, to the persons working in radiology, pharmacy, lab, dietetics, if they take over the responsibility of communicating effectively with the patient and their family member, a lot of this burden can be removed from the shoulder of the consultants. I think that's one thing I always insist on. Second thing I would say, if you will create an environment, then people who are not in habit of communicating will also start, communicating, and they will fall in line. So honestly, the reason for success of my programs in the hospitals is I never blame anybody. We have to come out of this attitude of blame game by telling doctors do not communicate well. Nurses are just useless. They just do not know how to communicate with the patient. They are always very rude and very, very harsh with the patient and the family. Or the security staff are just useless. They are just, very harsh with the patient. So what are we gaining by doing all this? We don't have to blame, but we have to take the onus of, bringing cultural change. And I would say each one of us have the responsibility. The best thing that I can say to all of you is be a good role model. Seeing you communicate, your team should learn that, okay, this is another good way of communicating. So whenever there's a conflict or there's an aggressive reaction or there's a disagreement, how you handle those situations will set an example for your team. Oh, how well she handled it. See how smartly he managed it. That's all. So that's how you can actually, cascade that change rather than just saying, oh, you are not doing well and I'm the best and you are not working the way I want. That will not take us anywhere. So focus on all the categories of staff, and then maybe even consultants will feel, okay, when everybody is so well behaved, why the hell should I, not do the same? This is what is my understanding. Yeah. So Reena is not there. I'm sorry. I think we missed. 1 second. Let me see. Why hasn't Reena joined? She says I'm not able to connect. Just 1 second. Let me. Sorry, I think Reena is facing some challenge in joining, so maybe she'll join in 5 minutes. Okay. So I hope, Sharmishta, that answers your question. Partly, at least, if not completely. Thank you. Thank you. Any other feedback or question or comment before we start with the second topic? Dr. Leah, anything you wish to add or ask?
Nothing that I'd like to add, just that I'm looking forward to today's class and then give a feedback.
Sure. Dr. Saifuddin, anything from your side?
No, ma'am, right now, no feedback because I have not gone through the classes again. But I have another an interest. That is, last class you told that at Maulana Azad Medical College, you do conduct few sessions. So can we experience this session by attending the classes there? Is it possible or not?
You know what had happened? December, when we did our first program, at that time a program was going on in Maulana Azad Medical College. So I invited all participants, anybody who wants, they can come. So a couple of them came to physically attend the program and they observed the whole day. But right now that program is over for this academic batch. And next batch will be starting somewhere in August or September. But I do have in my mind to create a program for medical faculty to, how do they go about conducting this training for the medical students. So I'm doing a 6 hours program for the medical students. So maybe something on the same pattern I'm considering to, but I'm really not sure how many faculty members will be interested to learn this. That's a question to be asked. If we can even get 10 participants to start with, I'm ready to roll this program because I'm doing it for last 10 years. So it shouldn't be difficult for me to roll a program to facilitate their learning as a facilitator.
Okay. But if in coming August, if we get the chance.
2022. August.
Yeah, the coming August. So
Yeah.
can you join at that time?
Yeah.
2 p.m.? Okay.
I mean, I can take anybody as my co-facilitator there.
Yeah.
Anybody can come and attend. It's 9 to 4 program. And I mean, it's a very rich learning because it's very different from what we are discussing here. There I majorly focus on the students' way of handling, patients and overcoming their hesitation of,
Yes.
introducing themselves as interns, because they hesitate sharing that we are interns. They feel that the patient will not cooperate. Then I help them see how you can earn their confidence, build rapport, and how do you really, make sure that you understand what they are saying, and also explain them in a simple manner so that they can, understand and take home. Welcome, Reena.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening,
yes.
everyone.
Very good evening. Very good.
Madam, I want to make one point, madam.
Please. Yeah.
I think you would have read this book. It is pertaining to the earlier question, how we can change our consultants. Huh?
Yes.
So there's an interesting book called Atomic Habits. Huh? Atomic Habits, which tiny changes makes remarkable results.
Yes.
So we should not try for too much, too fast.
At a time.
Huh? At a time. Go for 1%. So in this, they had the British cycling, team was doing very bad in every Olympics, and they were considered to be very not performing well. And the coach decided to improve them by 1% in every areas. Yeah. And one day they got the Olympic. I don't want to go to all the details, but that 1%, improvement is what we should see, which will bring a lot of changes, and from one part it will spread to the other
areas and other
areas.
professions.
Yeah. Just a thought.
Completely. I completely agree with you. I think that's a wonderful input. And that's what I think we have to target. I know communication as such as a specialization is not valued, but we know very well, study by Harvard, it says that 85% of our success comes from our communication and interpersonal skills.
Yes.
Whereas we don't consider this, as a valuable input or a valuable, learning. But I think it's being recognized. Let's admit it's being recognized. The way I'm getting response on LinkedIn for the number of applications I'm receiving, we have already decided, almost 6 participants for the 3rd batch. And there are around 380 registrations as of now. So you can well imagine if out of these 380, every time we have 10 people, ready to join in, we can actually go on the same line. And I hope in the time to come, we'll be able to bring some change. And once you all will take master trainer program, you will be conducting programs in your areas, it will cascade. It will, trickle down. Captain Sandhya, you want to say something?
No, nothing much. I was just in continuation with what Dr. Pai said. This is actually one of the best book which I recommend to everybody. And the name, it's a very scientific book and not too heavy to read. And the way the small things which don't even flash our conscious mind and to our attention, it comes the atomic habits.
Wow.
Very small things, and just adapt it and read. But it's one of the excellent reads, I would say.
Sure.
Good.
I'm going to order it right today. I'm going to order it right.
Please do that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So,
This is the one. This is the
And
one.
me and Dr. Pai don't have any commissions to it.
I understand. I know once we have read something and find it useful, we want to really spread the message so that more people read and get benefit.
Yeah.
I completely
No,
understand.
I'll try for a e-version. So if I get it, then just give me 2 days time. So I'll share it in the group. Right?
Oh, that will be really wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay. So any other comment or feedback before we move on to the second topic? Dr. Anuradha, do you wish to say something? Kindly unmute yourself. No. Dr. Anuradha, you need to join. Yeah, now you need to unmute. No, you are not connected. Your audio is not connected. So you need to log out and log in and use computer audio. Then you will be able to try. Okay. So by the time she joins back, any other comment or feedback from the previous session? Anything you liked or you did not like, or you want that to be changed in the time to come? Yes, Dr. Leah, please go ahead.
So I have a suggestion. You can take this as a suggestion that maybe you can create a short video on what all topics you will be covering in your classes, so that the doctors and the medical fraternity, whoever is willing or wishing to attend, understand that these are the kind of things that they'll be getting trained on.
Yeah,
so that's
can
just
be done. Yes, I can definitely do. I'll ask my marketing people to do this because
because most of them they prefer to watch rather than to read.
Yeah, and get an idea what exactly they are going to do. I completely. Wonderful. I think I'll work on it. Definitely. I'll work on it. Thank you. So any other comment, Reena, from your side, or Pooja, if you wish to say something?
No, everything is really nice. So today I was discussing about this training session with our COO, Major General Dr. Abhijit Chakravarti. So I was telling about all our doctors over here, Dr. Pinky, Dr. Pai. Then I said we have a doctor from Bangladesh also, Dr. Saifuddin, and Dr. Anu. These were the names which came, like, NABH assessor. So our CO is also a NABH assessor. So do you know him? He was posted in AFMC and was again posted in a lot of command hospitals. Major General Dr. Abhijit Chakravarti Suran. Right now he's in Medica, Kolkata as a group COO. So he said, very good. And I took your name also, ma'am, that Dr. Indu Arneja, even she is one of the assessors and she's highly qualified and she's in LinkedIn. If you happen to get a chance to go and see her profile, it's really good. So he was very happy that I'm doing something of that types. And he's looking forward, like, what am I going to learn and what am I going to deliver to the people?
Wow.
They can, make use of it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So Pooja, do you wish to say something? Anything that you wish to share with the group?
Yeah, ma'am. Actually, being an educator, we are just trying to add this. We have actually already added the topic communication while we are conducting nursing induction for the nurses. And we were trying to implement the tools of communication like Edit and Leap we are using.
Okay.
But I think there is some more things we should add. Like there is one topic in your table of content, breaking bad news. So these are some things I was thinking whenever I'll get the chance to learn about all these things, I'll add on that my PPT and will train the staffs.
So because breaking bad news is majorly done by the doctors, but then nurses and paramedical staff have a role to play in it, and they must know how they should be actually participating in this situation so that they can, avoid any kind of aggressive reaction and manage it, mitigate it at the earliest possible point. So good. So Dr. Anuradha, you wanted to say something. I think now you will be able to speak if you unmute your device.
Can you hear me, Dr. Indu, now?
We can hear you. Yes, we can hear you.
So good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I shared this topic of discussion with my elder daughter. She is an ophthalmologist in Shankara Nethralaya, and she is a second year student of TNB right now. So I talked to her about this. I'm doing this master trainer program, and how relevance of communication in clinical field as well as for the non-clinical staff. So I have introduced her with this subject, and I have asked her to discuss it with her guide and her seniors, so that this is a topic of discussion right now in her head as well as to the team she is attached to. So that is one part I've done, and I'm really learning a lot to become a good trainer, hopefully.
So good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So friends, moving forward with the second topic today, we are going to discuss developing communication competencies as the topic of discussion. And if you look at the topic 1 and 2, these are the basic topics which you need to cover whenever you plan a training program. Again, it depends if it is just 2 hours training that you are doing. So maybe first 15 minutes need to be spent on helping them understand what is the importance of communication or relevance of communication and how it is different and similar to day-to-day communication. And the next good 1 hour should be spent on developing communication competency, because this is a very interesting topic, very useful topic. And as very rightly said by some of you, that these are very finer details of communication, but we sometimes do not value them or we don't recognize them. But they have a huge impact on the quality of your outcome. So the whole topic has been planned in a manner that we will do a lot of activities, discussions, and discussion around it, so that it's not just PowerPoint presentation and we learn by doing. That's the idea, that we learn by doing. So I first want to show you one picture and ask you, what do you think about this picture and what do you see in this picture? Give me a second to show you the picture. Yeah. Okay. So what do you see in this picture?
Personality shouting on the phone, maybe.
The person is shouting it, clearly visible. What more can you make out? Yes, please.
He's upset.
Yes, he's upset. True.
From his office or workplace, as he's properly dressed for that.
Yeah.
Wonderful. He looks like in his office and seems to be shouting at one of, most likely, his subordinates. Okay.
The way he's dressed and his personality appears to be a senior person.
Okay, very right. Pooja, you want to say something?
I can see my chairman sitting over here. And exactly, yes.
This is recorded.
None of us know him.
On YouTube.
Pooja, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, ma'am. I feel like he's frustrated. Means something has went wrong. Maybe he's reacting to that thing.
Yeah. So something he's really very unhappy about, and he just wants to, had that person been in front of him, probably he would have thrown something on him with him back. Any other input from any other member?
Maybe the subject is very important and it requires an immediate, change in that. So he is really trying to push the message by being shouting at them, something like that.
Quite possible. Quite possible. 93% of the communication is non-verbal. You had not even heard a single word said by him, but very precisely you could see the context and you could see his facial expression. You could see so many things that were not told to you or that were not written. 93% of the communication happens through non-verbal means. You didn't require any words. Had you heard him speaking, probably you would have got more idea what exactly the situation is, but most of you could very precisely identify the situation. And in this 93%, 55% is your body language. 38% is the tone of voice, and just 7% is the spoken words. But how many of us are really, really conscious about this fact that 55% of the communication happens through our body language? And how many of us really care for the tone of our voice, especially when we are speaking to our subordinates, with patients or their family members? Do you agree with me that we are not very conscious of this fact? We are not very conscious of this fact. Communication can happen through 3 ways. One is language, that is words. Second is paralanguage. And third is body language. And we are going to cover all 3 in depth to understand that how exactly we should be making use of all these 3 aspects of communication. Now, today's session, you have to look at it from 3 points of view. One is it will enhance and improve your communication because you'll get insight into your own communication. Second, as a trainer, you will be able to use it in your training to help your audience understand the importance of training and communication. And third is, even if you are not going to be directly training, but you will make sure that you are able to emphasize the importance of communication in your program for your audience or for your team members. So even being an administrator or as a trainer or as a quality personnel, you need to be aware that one, you are a role model to your team. And second, if you want culture to change, probably this is one of the most important area where you will need to focus. And very clearly, very explicitly, I am going to, take you through the journey so that you know what exactly we need to focus on each area. Now, coming to the language part, my first question to all of you is, do words matter?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Words matter. I completely agree. But are we really very careful about using words when we are actually, talking to somebody? Sometimes yes, and sometimes.
Sometimes, yes.
A lot of time after saying something, we have a feeling, I think I shouldn't have said that. I think that language was not appropriate. Maybe that selection of word was not right. I could have, used some other word which could have conveyed a similar meaning, but would have been little, more professional or more, less blunt and less harsh to people. So actually, words have a lot of power, and we do not sometimes realize how unknowingly we use certain words, and they have a very huge impact on the quality of our interaction or the outcome of our interaction. So let's do a small activity to understand the power of words. So imagine that we all are going to organize a health camp, like many hospitals organize, free health camps in maybe in remote areas or maybe in the neighboring areas. Sometimes it's eye camp, and sometimes all specialties health camp. So imagine that we all are going to, discuss the planning of the health camp. And we also know some of us are willing, some of us are not willing, because health camps are usually on the weekend, so you have to really sacrifice your weekend. So we all know the dynamics of having this camp. So we'll start the discussion, and I'll set the starting. When you start speaking, you have to start with two words. Yes, I'm okay with organizing the camp, but. Okay? So I'll give an example, and then I'll pass on the baton to the next person, and then you have to pass on to everyone, and each one of us has to speak for themselves. Okay. So yes, I am okay with the camp on this Sunday, but I have some guests coming at home. So I pass on the baton to Dr. Pinky.
Okay. So I am ready to do this camp this Sunday, but I have a very, very urgent commitment which I cannot miss.
Okay. So whom do you pass the baton?
Reena?
Yes, I'm okay to do the camp on Sunday, but I'm not sure if the marketing team is free to go to the location and do a proper setup. So I pass it on to Captain Sandhya Shankar.
Captain Sandhya, unmute your device.
Yes. Yes, I'm okay with organizing the camp, but allow me to choose my team and make it a success.
So whom do you want to pass the baton?
I want to pass on the baton to Dr. Anup.
Yes, I would like to attend the camp, but due to COVID violations of traffic regulations, I won't be able to come.
Okay. So whom do you want to speak after you?
Dr. Pai?
I am very happy you're organizing this camp. It will be beneficial for so many people. I really want to be part of that team, but due to some urgent personal commitments, is it okay if we, postpone this to another day?
Okay. Whom do you want to pass on the baton?
Leah, Leah.
I would like to attend this session, attend this health camp, but can I get a weekend off or a weekday off next week?
Wow, that's great. So whom do you want to speak after you?
Miss Sharmi N.
Yeah, Sharmishta, please go ahead. Yeah. Unmute your device, Sharmishta.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I am ready to organizing the camp on this particular days, but I am not comfortable with the time. So if you can manage this, if you can change the time, then I can manage the camp on this day.
Wonderful. So whom do you want to speak after you?
Yeah. Sorry, I don't remember the name. Manglik.
Anuradha ji. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
I'd like to say it the other way around. I have some guests coming this weekend, but I'm very excited to organize this camp, and I hope I do justice to the camp.
No, we don't want this. Yes, I want to go, but I have some guests coming at home, so I cannot come.
Okay.
This has to be, yes. I appreciate your enthusiasm, but we have to stick to the plan that we are discussing.
Yes, I am very, very excited to organize the camp this weekend.
Yeah.
I have some guests coming, so I'll just take some time off for the camp and continue with my services still there.
No, but it's okay. I take it, but no. So next, whom do you want to pass the baton?
Yeah, Dr. Bala Murugan.
Yes, Dr. Bala, please.
Yeah, good evening. Yes, I am okay with the organizing camp, but I am willing to choose to organize in a hospital, not in an outside place. And my manager will take care of that camp.
Okay, thank you. So whom do you want to pass on the baton?
Pass on to...
Two people are left, if I'm not wrong. Pooja and Dr. Saifuddin.
Saifuddin.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay, it's great to organize free health camp, but I do personally disagree regarding the sustainable outcome of health camp, so I can't attend.
So I don't want to organize.
Yeah.
Thank you. Pooja.
Yes, I'm okay with organizing the camp, but the thing is, some facilities like eatable items, drinking water, it should be supplied by the management.
But something should be available. Wonderful. Excellent. Okay. Anybody who is left, I think we have covered everyone. Okay. Now, this word but, we are going to replace with one word, and that's called and. We are going to do the same round once again. Let's do it a little quickly. But the starting words would be, yes, I'm okay with this camp on this Sunday. And I'll give you an example. Yes, I'm okay with the camp on this Sunday, and I'm going to get food for everyone. Dr. Pinky.
Yeah. So yes, I'm okay to do this camp on Sunday, and I'm going to come with some gifts today in the evening.
Wonderful. Thank you. Next. Who is next? Dr.
Next, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so yes, I'm okay to organize this camp on Sunday, and I will make sure that I reach the venue as early as possible to organize everything and see that everything is in place.
Wonderful. Thank you. Next.
Yes, I'm going to what is it? Yes, I'm okay with organizing the camp on Sunday, and I'm sure it's going to be fun with the team of my choice.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Next.
Yes, I'm going to organize this camp, and I ensure that maximum doctors participate.
Wonderful. Excellent. Thank you. Who is next? Who was after Dr. Anoop?
And Dr. Rajesh.
Yeah, Dr. Pai.
Yeah, I'll be very happy to organize the camp, and I will give all the support for this program with food and other facilities. And I may take a small break in between to to get my some of my friends who are coming at home.
Wonderful. Thank you. Who's next?
Yes, I'm okay with attending the camp, and I am going to bring some of my colleagues to make it a success.
Wow. Thank you so much. Next.
Yes, I'm going to organize the camp and I'm going to enjoy with my colleagues. There will be no documentation at all.
Okay, thank you. Who is next?
Yes, I'm okay with organizing camp, but I am sure that I will like 1,000 people will attend the camp for the 1,000 people will attend the program.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Who is next? Please go ahead.
Okay, I am very excited to attend the camp and very hopeful to bring sustainable changes for the remote underprivileged people.
Wow, thank you so much for such a change of heart. Thank you. Who's next, Dr. Anuradha?
Yeah, yes, I am okay with organizing the camp this Sunday, and I ensure that it becomes a great success so that we can repeat it again and again.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Anuradha. Sharmishta.
Yes, I am ready to organize camp on this Sunday. Before that, I would like to arrange one small meeting with my team for the assigning task.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. So what did you see in both the activities?
When we did the second activity, there comes a positive attitude towards the camp, the way we are handling it.
The complete energy was very different when we were doing the second round of discussion. Everybody was trying to pour in, to give in, to provide, to improvise, to support, to facilitate. A lot of us, yeah, please. Go ahead.
Very true, very true.
Yeah. A lot of us use if and buts more than required. A lot of us this habit of using a lot of ifs and buts with no solid reason. Can you introspect and tell me one word that you think is not appropriate and you use it often? Give yourself 30 seconds and write in the chat box the word that you use very often and you think it's not appropriate, it's damaging. It's damaging to your relationship. Could be personal or professional, doesn't make a difference. Okay, no, very right. Very prompt also. Thank you, Dr. Anuradha. But, oh, wow. Thank you, Dr. Saifuddin, for accepting that we use. Okay, we'll try. Actually, okay. But Pooja, actually word is not detrimental. I'm looking for a word which is damaging. I'm making you write here for one reason. I'll tell you what you have to do. Okay, let's try. Irritating. Okay. But very right. Okay, yes. Wait, let me think. Okay. But again, that's not damaging. Wait, let me think is not damaging.
It's not damaging.
It's not damaging. It's all right. If I'm using this word, that means I'm taking time to. Okay. Yes, okay. So you feel, Leah, you feel telling yes is damaging in some situations for you?
Yes.
So maybe saying yes without thinking.
Exactly.
Can be. Okay. And sure. Okay. Cannot be done. Okay, Dr. Rajesh, I think that's something very interesting. So since you have put these words in the chat box, try deleting this from your vocabulary. And even if you have to use it with care. A lot of time we use words that do more harm than good. And we regret. Even I have had occasions when I've said something to my kids or to my husband or to my employees, or even sometimes in audience. You sometimes don't realize in flow when you speak. And then you feel, oh, I shouldn't have said that. I still remember there was a lady who was working in my clinic as a housekeeping staff, and I used a very unfair word for her. I regretted all my life. It's been almost like 10 years. I still regret that I shouldn't have used that word for her. And one of the best ways to stop this habit of using any word which is damaging is if you slow down your speed of speaking. I'll be coming to that point when we will talk about the paralanguage part. But one of the best ways to, work on your language is if you can slow down your speaking, you can do wonders. If you have heard Indra Nui, she said, being in India, she was very fond of, participating in lot of extracurricular activities. And she used to really win a lot of, debates and other co-curricular activities. So when she went to US, again, when she enrolled for an MBA, and there when she went into for some debating competition, right in the round 1, she was out. And the reason she was given to being out was that she would speak so fast that, she wouldn't let the other person speak. So sometimes when we speak fast and we speak loud, we actually try to intimidate the other person. And in the first round, she was, taken off the competition. She said, the lesson I learned was that you must speak, think and speak. And if you will slow down, automatically your rational mind will tell you, this is not the right way of saying. This is not the right word to be used here. And actually your vocabulary will start giving you better alternatives to the words if you are able to just slow down by fraction of second. I've tried it myself. I've worked on myself. Even I used to speak very fast. But now I have learned it that if you pause for a second, you can change your way of delivery. And that's very important. So even if studies say that 7% of the communication happens through words, but that 7% is like dynamite. They can do 93% of harm if we have not used them appropriately. So that's the power of word. So any words that you have heard from others and you think they are not appropriate and you think that shouldn't have been, said the way they said, can you recollect any incidents? Any one of you wants to share? Maybe just one, if anybody can recollect. It's okay. No hard and fast this thing. Sometimes it's not easily available to the conscious mind, but that's all right. So in our community, please, Dr. Anuradha, go ahead.
Just a small sentence which I recollected.
Yeah.
Whenever we have discussions, or not actually debates, but discussion between elder kids, now they are all adults in my family.
Yeah.
The line or the sentence the kids use is, "Mama, you won't understand. You will not understand." So that particular line makes me feel, no, we have gone through the same stages of life, we do understand. So that is one sentence which affects, so.
And how do you handle it?
Many a times it triggers and you become angry on them. But now, since it's been long now, I've worked upon myself. I give myself time. Yes, I don't understand, but give me a chance. I will try to understand. So please give me an opportunity for that.
So in great depth, we are going to talk about how do you handle these situations. Okay. When people snub you down and you don't know how to handle it, could be on the personal front or on the professional front. Maybe I don't know, I can learn. But you will not understand is a very sweeping statement, not required. And it's very discouraging and demoralizing. I won't take it. Honestly, if you ask me, I tell my kids and they know it very well. If you don't love me, I'm okay. If you don't respect me, I'm not okay. So that's how we have to sometimes assert when we are dealing in our personal relationship. I know they don't mean it. They don't mean it when they say, Mom, you won't understand. In hurry, they want to just cut short and move on to the next point because they don't want to spend time explaining you. But then it's very hurtful. If you could recollect it now, it's there somewhere and we are going to address it somewhere. Great. So I'm glad that you brought this up. So unknowingly, a lot of time, even we do these things, especially people who are lesser in hierarchy or lower in their position or younger in age. Do you agree with me? So can you recollect your employee your patients or patients attendants or young attendants to the patient who look almost like our kids' age. And sometimes we do not use appropriate way of interacting with them. Can you recollect something like this? I'm just asking you to recollect. If you want to share, you can share, but just say agree or don't agree.
Yes.
A lot of time you may have seen people who are higher in position to their employees or their subordinates, they use the word tu chala ja, tu kar le, tu idhar aa ja. I'm sorry, I'm saying in Hindi because English, you word stands true for both the elderlies and for youngsters also. But in Hindi, we have this problem that normally we use aap kar lijiye. But with kids and with especially with the subordinates, and if they're lower in hierarchy, sometimes people who are in senior in position, they have a tendency to use this word tu kar le, tu aaja, tu chala ja, tu karti kyun nahi, tu karta kyun nahi aise. And that's very, very hurtful, especially with today's generation. Millennials are not happy when they are addressed with tu. Yes, Reena, go ahead.
Yeah, ma'am, I have observed in our hospital and I have pointed out also. So the junior nursing staff, so when a patient is there and I go there and ask for a file to get some information, okay? So ये वाला इसको हम लोग शिफ्ट कर रहे हैं अभी रेडियोलॉजी में, वहां पे यूएसजी में इस पेशेंट को लेके जाना है, इसका फाइल अभी नहीं आया है, इसके लिए फीड अभी नहीं आया है. So addressing the patient is and uska. Many times few patients point out like, why are they talking like this? Moreover, there was an auntie who was admitted during the COVID time and she was okay. She was supposed to be called an auntie. But the nurses, dadi, 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 and she got so offended. So, why are you calling me dadi? I said, no, auntie, they are not calling you dadi, they are calling you didi. You're not able to hear properly. So somehow, like, you know, don't you ever tell them to call me like that, okay? Ma'am or auntie is good. I'm nobody's dadi. So you know, these things, they make the patient, and iska is very irritating. Yes. One should respect. Yes. So yeah.
So I think very good examples, Reena, that you have brought in, and we very often get to hear these words. So I think the word iska is used by mostly our South Indian nurses, because for them, inka and iska has no difference. But if they can be clarified about the impact of these two words, they will understand. So that means, again, it requires training and kind of telling them that iska is considered, you know, when you are addressing somebody, not in a very respectful manner, and usually for the younger people. But I think you have brought in two good examples. And also the word dadi. Again, we need to really train our staff that it's always good to use Mr. or Mrs. But I know in Indian culture, we are not in habit of using Mr. and Mrs. So it is always good to call auntie or uncle. Again, a lady of 40 years age would like to be called Didi and not auntie. So you really need to be clear about it. So one of the good ways, asking the patient, how would you like to be addressed? If you can check this, you will not have any problem. आपको कैसे बुलाएं? आपको दीदी बोलूं या आंटी बोलूं? बेटा आप आंटी भी बोल सकते हो, तो मतलब है आंटी बोल सकते हैं. आप मुझे दीदी बुलाइए. Or another good way is in India, with the name, if we put G, Kusum Ji, Anita Ji, even that's acceptable. Ramesh Ji. So even that, but that requires training the staff that this is how we are going to address our patient. And a professional way is ask them, how would you like to be addressed? I think you can try. Any other example, if you can share, if others wish to talk about their setup?
Yeah, ma'am, actually, like in the hospital where staff nurses are working, sometimes I feel like using this word tu means, if they are using tu means they are seniors. So just to show the dominancy, also they are using this word tu ye leya, tune ye kyun nahi kiya. And if they are saying aap means like they are not able to show their dominancy, that they are seniors.
Yeah. So again, this has to be probably brought to their consciousness that this is not the right way of, you know, addressing each other. So even if the person is, now I know my daughters, like when they were very young, even if once in a while I use the word tu, they will point out to me, Mom, आप तू बोल रहे हो मुझे, आप तो कभी तू नहीं बोलते. तो समझ आया कि नहीं, तू नहीं बोलना है, आप बोलना है, चाहे बच्चे हैं चाहे बड़े हैं. And that way everybody is satisfied with the way you handle. Yeah. So any other? Yeah, please.
I was, recently in the hospital where I was working, the superintendent of police had come, and his name was Kuriakos. So he was sent for a ECG as a part of a comprehensive checkup, and the ECG technician then later came out and said, Kuriakos, are you there? Without knowing that he's the superintendent of police, he was felt very humiliated, and that also I think is a sensitive issue. When you have some guest or senior people coming in the hospital.
So I think there again, you need to set the protocol when he's being sent to the ECG for ECG, then probably somebody has to escort him and also make sure. But in general, I think with all the patients, we should not be just calling them by name, either Mr. or G or whatever is the right way. But we have to set that protocol, I think, in our setup so that everybody follows the same line of addressing the patient, and that brings uniformity also in the way patient is handled. But I think we had couple of good examples to discuss to see how different situations are being handled. Anything else that from your experience you wish to share?
Can I add amusing anecdote, I would say, incident?
Sure.
This is what the words, and you rightly said. So there was one of in my organization, the CEO who was in North Indian, and he was addressing all my nursing heads, and one of them was new in the team, hardcore South Indian, struggling to learn Hindi and speak Hindi, but she was actually using, she had already started to, 3-month-old in the system, started to use this, and she was trying to explain all her concerns. She had a list, she had her data ready, intelligent girl. And he said after she vented out the entire list and her concerns, and he said, can you pass on that list to me? And she says in that agitated, she was agitated, and she said, ye le, tu bhi dekh le. And this is all the Hindi she knew. And majority of us Hindi speaking people, they were taken aback because for a fraction of a second, the CEO also did not know how to respond.
How to react.
But very nice of him, but within a moment he realized the truth, and okay, who is she and what is she? And he just burst out laughing at the environment. So hats off to his maturity. His environment, the entire environment got lightened up, and everybody's laughed, and later on she was done. But another thing which I want to mention is one of the national figures, head of the organization. But every person walking in his room is addressed with "तूने ये नहीं किया, तेरा क्या हो रहा है?" So these words, and the people were, and I saw the helplessness in the people where they felt insulted. They did not like it, and everybody wished, and back of them coming out of the office or during the over a cup of tea, or this used to surface, this concern used to surface among the subordinates in the team or in the organization, that there isn't, nobody pointed out that the language is spoken, but everybody said that there is respect for the team is missing in this organization. Yes. So this is one thing. Yes. And one fine day, but two of us have waited till night 9 o'clock outside the office only to talk about this matter. Things did not change, but yes, after that Hindi stopped, and in English we were addressed at, okay, your concern and you, and because English gives the liberty of neutral adjectives and addresses, so it got converted to English, but did not change. But it was okay. At least we were at rest that we expressed. This was disturbing.
I understand completely, and that was the thing probably I was trying to bring to the discussion. Sometimes when we are too high in the position, we forget that, I mean, okay, we are enjoying the respect and the position, so do people like it. And I think this is one thing everybody wants, even if they are much lower in hierarchy, they like to be treated with respect.
Absolutely.
Couple of things, if you can ensure for your team, you can win any team, and one of them is respect. One of them is respect. Everybody likes to be respected. Tu and tum will work where you have actually come very close to each other. For example, if you have worked for years together and you feel very close, there I think it's fine. Or even if the person who is in the senior position, his overall persona is such that he's more like a father or a mother figure. If they use this word tu for their employees or their team members, probably they are okay with it because they feel like child to that person. But then in general, I think we need to maintain the decorum. And for us to learn from this is that we have to make sure that we treat everybody with respect and don't use this word tu and tum for anybody. So Dr. Saifuddin, anything to share from your country? Anything that is different, or what is your experience with this choosing of words?
No, nothing different. Like as you said, tu, that is also here, tui.
Yeah.
Then I think in Hindi, tum, that is tumi, you.
Okay.
We use tumi. And in case of seniors, addressing senior, for up, we use apni.
Okay.
So tu is not used. But I can mention one incident here, the very recent incidents, but not related to the in hierarchical position, but patient and one of my phlebotomist. That happened that the patient party was just of labor court. He sent his guard to bring reports, but report delivery section told that the report is not ready. So there was an incident. I am not going to mention the incident. The guard came to the phlebotomy section and called his boss, I mean judge of the labor court, and give the phone to my phlebotomist to talk to the judge. Regarding the talk, phlebotomist closed the session without notifying the judge that I am closing. I am giving the phone to your guards. Please talk to him. And this humiliated him too much that our senior manager from admin department had to go to his office, met him, but he failed to manage, convince him. The judge get angry and told police to search my institute. Then 2 to 3 days later, then I had to go. At that time, my CEO was in Saudi Arabia for performing Umrah house. So I attended the judge and mentioned that there was a miscommunication, and we have point out the root causes. So hopefully this will not recur again and will not affect any other patients like you. And these comments, it will not affect any other patient. It impressed him. And it's okay. If your action will not affect any other person, then I will not send any force to search your institute. I think that's the point, that how to close over phone communication or how to address without knowing that, because the guard didn't mention my phlebotomist. He is the judge of labor court. That's also one point.
So true. Again, how you handle VIPs and how you handle highly positioned people is something that you really need to have a protocol, and you need to follow that protocol, implement it in a manner so that these mishaps do not happen. And sometimes it can be really very disastrous also, as very rightly said. Yes. Wonderful. So I think we will close the chapter of language here. We have discussed at length. So we have now understanding that yes, words, although very small contribution they make, but they can make a huge damage. At least this we can learn from this thing. So moving towards the next part of the communication, that is language, paralanguage. Now, what is paralanguage? What do we mean by paralanguage?
Tone, I think tone, loudness. I think these are the paralanguages.
Wonderful. So language is words. Paralanguage is how these words are delivered. And does paralanguage play a role? A lot.
Big role. Yeah.
Big role. 38% of the communication happens through the paralanguage, tone of your voice, and a lot of other things. So what all come in paralanguage?
Tone,
Voice,
intonation.
Intonation, yeah, that's tone. Okay.
Pitch.
What else? Pitch. Very right. What more?
Volume.
Yes, volume. It plays a huge role. It plays a huge role. What else?
Facial expressions.
Facial expression, but that will go in the body language. That will cover in the body language. So if I talk about paralanguage, it's actually the voice modulation that we are talking about.
Okay.
So let me show you one slide, and I want you to read the content. Give me 1 second to share the screen with all of you. Okay, we have discussed this. We have discussed this. So all this we have discussed, basic curtsies and positive phrases. Okay. Now read these 6 lines in your, to yourself, not loudly, but to yourself, and then we'll have a discussion around it. So when you're reading, put little pressure on the word that is underlined and highlighted. Should I stop sharing? Oh, we didn't take the picture. We thought we'll take a picture when everybody's here. Okay. Shall I take a picture for all of us?
Yeah.
Okay. So smile. One more. So is it okay if I post on the LinkedIn? Everybody okay if I post on the LinkedIn? Okay, thank you. Thank you. I must take your permission. Okay, so this slide that you saw, same sentence written 6 times. If you read with little, stress on the word that is underlined and highlighted, was there a difference?
Meaning changes.
Meaning changes. So what all meanings did you get from these different sentences?
The weightage of word would be the different.
This is what exactly happened when we are talking to people. Sometimes unknowingly we put a pressure on particular word. We emphasize more on particular word, and as a result, what happens? We miscommunicate. Tone of voice has a huge role to play when it comes to impacting the communication or the quality of our communication. So again, what experience do you have when you have used a tone of voice, or you have seen people using different tone of voice in your professional or personal front? Can you remember any incident? Anybody?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to share something.
Sure,
it's
sure.
Again about our neuro ward staff. There's a very old staff, nursing staff. She's a team leader. So do you hear any background noise from my end? The drums and all? You're not able to hear?
No.
Okay, there's some marriage and all going on over here. So
there is, but then it's not disturbing me. At least not me. I don't know about others.
So See, the nursing staff is mostly, majority is tribal people here.
Yeah.
Right? So their tone and everything, it is their way, the way they have been brought up, the way they have been educated. So they have a particular tone. So this girl, I went to take a feedback from a patient, and that patient was like a RTA case and very critical, but got saved. So this nurse, when I started asking, ki, how was your experience? How did you like everything? Was everything good? Was the care provided nice over here? So that sister, भाई क्यों नहीं बोल रहा है तुम? बोलो, हम लोग क्या किए? हम लोग कैसे किए? So the way she was saying, it was like, she's scolding him to say that, no, you better say that it was all good. Otherwise, I'm going to kill you. So I felt very bad. So anyway, I left. Next day, I didn't go to her. I WhatsApp her that, sister, you didn't do good. I mean, the tone was not good. I know you're such a nice and sweet sister. I've been seeing you ever since we joined together, but the tone was not good. And then she started feeling bad. Oh, I see. Now on, I will stop talking. I know you would comment like this. I did not say. I knew him. He stays nearby to my place. He's known to me and all those things. So, she didn't mean bad, but the tone was really bad.
So that means communication is not what you say, communication is how you say. And 10% of the conflicts are because of the wrong words. 90% of the conflicts are because of the wrong tone of voice. A lot of time, harsh tone of voice seem aggressive, intimidating, can upset the other person and make the other person feel that I'm not being respected. So let me show you another slide to just highlight the importance of tone of voice, and then we'll see what is our quality or what is our tone of voice. Just quickly, let me show you the next slide. Okay, so this is a couple of studies shown together. Tone of voice plays a very big role in building connection with the person. In a study, it was realized that 65% of the customers said that it plays a role in building connection with the company or with the brand or with the person. On the other side, in another study, 64% of them said that it builds trust between the two parties. So when the tone of voice is appropriate, it helps to facilitate building trust with them. 23% of it increases your company's revenue, reported that it increases your company's revenue, and 80% of them reported that it creates a memorable image of your brand. So when you are speaking to your patient, or when you're speaking to your team member or with your subordinate, your tone of voice has a larger impact than the actual words used with them. Even with patients and their family member, we got to remember, if our tone of voice is authoritative or little strict or rude, it conveys a different meaning. So next slide will tell you about the different dimensions of the tone of voice. So for yourself, can you tell me, where do you stand on these 4 dimensions when you are speaking to your subordinates? Any volunteer?
Ma'am, I feel that I'm formal and casual.
Okay, formal and casual. So more formal than casual or more casual than formal?
I think it depends, like, whom am I talking to? Formal with my bosses and casual with my colleagues.
Okay. What about being respectful and irreverent?
Yeah, that is also there with the patients. I'm very respectful.
Mm-hmm. And what about with the team and subordinates?
Yes, of course. I mean, there is respect, of course, everywhere. But with the team, with the subordinates, there is much of a casual behavior, like, guiding them at times or getting some guidance from them. So it's very much a casual thing. But yeah, with the senior authorities, it's formal and again respectful. And with the patient, it's absolutely respectful.
Yes. Now, for example, if anybody has a serious tone of voice with being irreverent, what will be the impact?
irreverent. Oh, ma'am, what's the meaning of irreverent?
Disrespectful. Okay, let's call
It lacks respect. It lacks,
lack
Oh,
respect.
okay,
lacks
lack
respect.
respect.
Yeah.
Right. So we get certain patient attendants
Hmm.
who are like, that types.
Yeah.
This has happened, your hospital is like this is like this, this is not. So at that point of time, if I also stand up and start shouting, that doesn't make any
That won't
sense.
help. Yeah.
So we just sit and listen. Okay,
Yeah.
complete whatever you have to say.
Yeah.
And then we start. And then we start telling, okay, this happened. So you were told, you were informed, you are worried about the charges. Didn't we inform you at the very beginning when you came for the admission that these are the charges and this will be done? And we have a detail in front of you. You can just go through it and don't panic. It's not the final thing. Now the final bill is yet to come. There'll be a lot of deduction. There'll be a lot of returns. So just don't worry.
So Reena, the thing is, one second. So the thing is, as long as you are respectful with the patient, a lot of time in your staff, you will see they are respectful with the patient, but sometimes they are too formal in their approach with the patient. What do others say? Do you see this among your staff, residents, and nurses? They are respectful, but then they are very formal, and they just do not want to break that line between them and the patient. And their patients feel that they are distanced from them. So what we need to do is we need to check the tone of voice. Anywhere, if our tone of voice sounds casual or disinterested, for example, if the patient is asking us something and when we are replying them, and if we sound disinterested or we sound unconcerned, or if they can see that we are rude and authoritative or aggressive, the communication breaks down. So very important here is to remember that our tone of voice, even if I am on the front desk or I am at the radiology, pharmacy, lab, anywhere, wherever I am, it doesn't make a difference. My tone of voice has to be sincere, responsible, because I am representing a hospital. I'm not representing just myself. I'm representing a hospital. So I need to sound responsible and sincere, soft, polite, and assertive. Now, what is this assertion? I want to ask the group. What do we mean by assertion? Dr. Saifuddin, what do you think? What is assertion?
Ma'am, I can't explain. If you explain, it will be better.
No problem, no problem. But we are going to talk at length about it.
Yeah,
okay, Dr. Anup, do you have any clarity about what is assertion?
Ma'am, assertion is something like where you emphasize, something like that.
Yes, empathy has to be part of the communication, but that's not the primary focus of assertion. That's not the prime, but good attempt, I would say. Dr. Bala.
Informing the right things, the right tone, without any hesitation or any fear.
Very good. I think you're very close to the answer. Okay, Dr. Reena, you want to say something?
Yeah, is it like, a proactive behavior? Like, always like, yes, it is possible. There is nothing which cannot be done. There is something, proactiveness.
Again, I appreciate that, yes, there's a willingness to resolve the issue. There's a willingness to proactively manage the situation, but that's not the primary focus. Okay, I'll come to you. Yes, Dr. Anuradha, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel the assertion here means you are conveying the message, and the seriousness about the message is also conveyed with the tone. That this is the fact.
Wonderful. Very close. So if I take the different aspects that all of you have covered, anybody else who would like to contribute?
I think it is conveying firmly but politely. Yes. There is sometimes you need to convey certain things to a patient party which is in his benefit or which is as per the correct protocol, but they are not willing to. So you have to sometimes convey certain things firmly.
Wonderful.
actually
Very, very close. Very, very close. Very right. Thank you so much, Dr. Pinky. Yeah, Pooja, you were saying something. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it means like speaking in a way or providing information in a way that people listen to you, means you are so effective in expressing that view.
Okay, that's another good aspect of assertion. Very right. Captain Sandhya, do you want to add something to it?
Yes, it is. I recently experienced. That's the reason that.
Sure.
It is something like politely stating yes or no, putting across your point firmly. No, sir, this cannot happen. It does not fall in my, it's not my job, or we will not say that. But sir, this cannot happen. We do not practice this in our hospital. So I would suggest please talk to my manager or this thing. It is something like putting across my point humbly, politely, but it's a statement which is required to be communicated without any reason. It is a statement. So this is what I'm asserting. I'm talking very firmly and clearly on, but with politeness on conveying a message. Yes or no. It's something
wonderful.
like
Quite close.
It's
quite close to it. Thank you. Leah, do you want to add anything to it? Anything from your side, Leah?
I would say that with confidence, you are strongly communicating the fact, but with politeness.
Okay, wonderful. Shumishta, anything from your side you want to add? Your understanding of assertion?
Yes, it is like, correcting the person or conveying any message with the positive manner. So person should not feel that, it is a negative behavior or some person is giving the advice. But yes, is correcting the person with the positive manner.
Okay, I think that's another good positive aspect of assertion. Dr. Pai, I think you're the one who is left now, so I want you to add anything if you have on your mind. Yeah, please.
It is standing firm with your belief that a particular incident or a particular fact, you are standing with that with confidence. You are not going to give away with it. Yeah.
Wonderful. So all of you have given a lot of ideas about what assertion is, which is quite close to the exact meaning of assertion. And let me tell you, this is one skill. If you have learned assertion, most of the communication can be managed very well, very effectively. So I'll just quickly explain you what assertion is. Assertion is being able to express yourself in a non-aggressive, non-threatening, but firm manner. A lot of time you have to say no. A lot of time you have to refuse for a service. But the idea is not to stick to no or to refuse service. The idea is to help the other person see your point of view. So there you will be actually making sure that all three parts of communication, verbal, body language, and paralanguage, are in alignment with each other. We will be discussing assertion at length, and you will also get to know your communication style, your dominant communication style in the coming sessions. So I will not throw more light on this right now, because then we will be, diverging more information. But that's one skill that we need to learn in public dealing, because a lot of time you'll have to refuse for a service. For example, a person comes asking you for discount, an unreasonable discount, which you cannot give, or a request which is unreasonable, which is not acceptable. So there we become, quiet and we accept, or we become aggressive and we fight. Both these communication styles are not going to help in long term. And it's not being rigid on the point of view. It is working together to find a win-win situation, but not letting your thoughts or feeling get subdued just because the other person is in power position or is higher in hierarchy. And we'll be talking about it at length in one of the sessions. We are going to talk about that at length. But assertion is one communication skill where tone of voice plays a very big role. So let me quickly tell you one. When you are asserting, selection of words has to be done very carefully. All through your communication, do not use any derogatory language or disrespectful language or foul language or any slang words in your communication. That's one thing that we have to remember all through. How much ever angry you are, you will not go down to the level of tu and tum. We stick to the level of aap. That's one. Second is your tone of voice. The tone of voice has to be firm, but it should not be intimidating. It should not be rude or authoritative. It should not be threatening. Then comes your speed. I'm sure you must have seen people who get angry, they have a tendency to speak faster. So if you want to avoid that, you have to genuinely make an effort to slow down your speed so that your impact increases on the other person. So it's very important to make sure that your speed of speaking is either what you normally speak or maybe a little slower than otherwise. It will improve the impact of your communication with whomever you are asserting. Volume. Again, when we are aggressive, we have a tendency to become aggressive and our volume goes up. Very consciously, you have to remember that the volume should be either the one which you are usually using in your day-to-day communication. And even if you slightly reduce the volume, it will again improve the impact of your assertion. This comes with a lot of practice. But once you will start doing it, slowly a time will come when you will become pro at it. And all your communications and conversations will have this element automatically. Of course, then comes the facial expression, all that we'll be discussing in assertion, we'll be talking later. But tone of voice has a very important role to play. It should sound sincere, responsible. You have to be soft and firm at the same time. The language has to be exemplary. That's how you assert. Now, what happens if you increase the tone of your voice? What will happen? What is the risk? What is the risk? If you are using high pitch, high tone voice.
It may end up into a conflict.
Yes. Conflict and aggressive reaction.
The attention gets shifted to the tone. Nobody is interested to listen to you and what you're
Your
talking.
message is lost.
Yes, and message is lost.
I think you both are exactly on the point. The moment you will raise your voice, the focus will shift from what you are saying to how you are saying. And usually that's not acceptable. The next word that will come from the other party's mouth will be, how are you talking? Look at the way you are talking. Is this the way to deal with your staff? Is this the way to deal with your patients? The actual issue will get completely sidelined and the focus will be on how you are communicating. So very mindfully, you have to remember that if I'm using high pitch, high tone voice, it's going to end up into aggression. Aggression can be fueled with only one thing, that is aggression. And if you are not reacting in aggression, you can control any aggressive reaction by using assertion in your communication. The risk of using high pitch, high tone voice is very disastrous. Let us take two examples. Take one example, patient is misbehaving. Patient is misbehaving and you are calm, you are confident, and you are assertive. You are not using any derogatory language. Your tone of voice is fine. You're trying to, help the patient understand your point of view. Now, there are people around you who are, observing your interaction. Normally, what happens when your behavior is right and the patient's behavior is not appropriate? What happens at that time? How do people react?
People actually come forward to support you.
Dr. Pinky, थोड़ा सा कैमरा सेट करिए, आप दिख नहीं रहे हो.
Okay.
आपका दिखना बहुत जरूरी है.
Normally, people will come forward to support you.
Very right. If your conduct is right, if you are treating your patient with respect, talking to nicely, not being aggressive, most of the people will stand by you. They will support you. They'll come and even patients' attendants would tell to the patient, look at the way you're talking. You have come here for treatment or for fighting with the doctor. Now take another situation. Patient is not right. Patient is misbehaving. and so are you. Now what will happen?
People go to patient side.
People will take patient side. That's what exactly happens when we have aggressive reactions against us. When patients are misbehaving, and if our behavior is not responsible, not appropriate, the body language is not appropriate, our selection of word is not appropriate, usually it ends up into physical violence. Because people who are standing there, they are observing, they are not intervening, they are not stopping, they are not trying to control the situation, rather they are instigating, and they may even fuel the situation. So mob psychology is very different from individual psychology, a person psychology. Mob psychology is where one or two people would be leading the mob, and others would be just blindly following. The risk in that situation is, if one person says maro, everybody will start beating. If one person says todo, everybody will start, breaking furniture and breaking hospital equipment. So we have to be really very careful not to use high pitch, high tone, aggressive tone in public place. And in case if there is something that needs to be dealt, we need to literally, segregate this person from the crowd and mob, and then, manage that. Of course, that we are going to talk in one of the sessions to come. I'm not going to talk about that. But then one thing that we have to remind our staff is to make sure that they never use high pitch, high tone voice or aggressive voice with public or with patients. I think that's something we really need to highlight. Now, coming to the next point, and that is, we always say communication is shared meaning. When you're saying something, the other person should be able to really, really understand. How do we ensure that? And how do we check if the person has really understood?
Ma'am, we paraphrase, like after we say something, we repeat it.
Okay, that's one good way.
And approach the person.
And how many of you feel that once you have said something, it is exactly, been understood by the other person?
The participation of the other party also conveys that they have understood or not understood.
Okay, so you get a feedback from people that yes, the other person is listening, other person is, so that's through their body language or some, some gesture would show us. A lot of time when we are communicating, you may say something, the other party might understand completely a different aspect and will not get exactly what you are saying. A live example of it is, I'm going to give you a couple of instructions and I want you to draw as per those instructions. So I hope all of you have a copy and a pen in your hand. Okay. So we are going to draw a bug. So I'm going to read the instructions for you and you have to draw the bug as per the instructions. The bug is round. The bug has 8 legs, grouped in pair, with 4 legs on the front, with 4 legs on the left and 4 legs on the right. In the pair, one leg is longer than the other. The bug has 2 eyes on top of the body. The bug has 2 squiggly antennae. The bug has 2 pea-pod-shaped wings. The bug has a spot next to each wing. Should I repeat? The bug has a spot next to each wing.
What was the shape of the wing you said? What?
Pea pod. Matar ki phali. The bug has a triangular stinger on the bottom of the body. Sting or stinger, whatever you want to. It's supposed to be sting. The bug has 2 feelers on each foot, one longer than the other, both coming from the same side of the leg. Should I repeat?
Can you please repeat this? Yes.
Sure. The bug has 2 feelers, one on each feet, one longer than the other, both coming from the same side of the leg.
No, I don't know how to draw the feelers. So I've not understood this. Sorry.
You draw from your imagination of understanding. The bug has a round mouth placed between the 2 eyes. The bug laid 5 square eggs to the left of the stinger. So all of you show your drawing, keep it in front of the camera so that all of us can see each other's drawing. And I hope all drawings are identical. Pooja, where is your drawing? Dr. Pai, show us your drawing. Let me quickly take a picture. Wonderful. Some of you are really drawn wonderful. But why are they not identical? I gave same set of instructions. It should have been same. Why is it not same?
The size was not mentioned. That is
Okay. Agree.
Wow. I think because everybody's perceptions, understanding is different.
Exactly. So when we are communicating, a very important thing that we have to remember is the person's background, person's perception, person's experience. So whenever you are communicating with your patients, you got to remember their background, from where they are coming, their socio-cultural background, educational background, their learning, their experience. When you are training your team, again, you have to remember from where they are coming, what is their learning. See, I gave same set of instructions and all of you are educated, isn't it? I did not change the instructions, but the drawings did not come out exactly same. So everybody interpreted differently from the past experience or their knowledge or their learning. So communication, we have to remember. So this is how we actually identify where the communication gaps happen and how they become a barrier. How they become a barrier. Another important aspect of communication is attentive listening. Is listening important?
Yes.
And how many of you think that, yes, I'm a good listener?
I think
Raise
I'm
your
a good
hand.
listener.
A lot of us think. Okay. So you have traveled in metro? All of you?
Yeah.
Most of you. Okay.
Yeah.
So again, I'm going to give you another activity. That it's a ride from one station to the last station. And I'm going to give you a set of information you will have to note down because I'll be asking you a couple of questions around it. Are you all ready? Okay. So for example, this metro is going from Rithala to Dilshad Garden. One place to another. one station to another. Okay. So first station, Rithala, that's the beginning of the metro. So there were 37 people in metro. Second station, 11 people more boarded the metro, but nobody got off or got down. Next station, 17 people came in. Again, nobody deboarded. Next station, 19 people came in, 7 got off, deboarded. Next station, 14 people came in, boarded the metro, and 9 people got off, deboarded. Next station, 21 people came in. It was a big station, and 17 people got off. What is the answer?
86.
86.
86.
What was the question?
Nothing.
What was that?
I never asked a question. You know, assumption is one of the biggest barrier of communication. Never assume. 50% of the patients are treated on the basis of assumption. They are not asked, what is bothering you? Why are you here? What are your concerns? This is the studies that they show. So just to quickly share the just to share some slides with you to show you. I know it's a good way of learning, to see how we normally think that yes, we know the communication part, but how sometimes we fail on small finer details. So we have discussed all this, so I'm not going to show this. We have talked about all this. Okay. Assertion we have discussed at length, but we'll be discussing further. Okay. So as I said, shared meaning, and if we check the perception, actually not, it does not happen. So for example, when you tell to your patient, okay, your tympanic membrane repair has 90% success rate. What are the different perceptions the patient can have?
Maybe they will.
Maybe like patient will be having this thing that he'll be able to hear properly.
Okay, 90%. What else?
Maybe the patient is not aware, like what is the tympanic membrane and what it will affect.
No, patient has come for tympanic membrane remain. He has been explained that you need to undergo tympanic membrane repair. But then you say that, okay, this surgery has 90% success rate.
Yeah, maybe I think he will think more about that 10% of
possible
not successful rate.
Possible. What else? What else do you think patient might understand from this statement?
Assume that after the surgery, I will have some defect left with me because 10% will not be repaired.
Okay, possible. Or
he assumes that I would be in that 90%.
Okay, he thinks, okay, 90% is a very good success rate, so I'll be among 90%, nothing to worry. Okay.
Usually the patient will think that I'll get recovered fully because 99% success rate.
So it's a huge success rate.
Yes.
Or somebody might think I might get back my hearing up to 90%. And another interpretation can be that, okay, 90% of the hole will be repaired, still 10% will be left. So it can be a very different perception for different patient, and we really need to confirm, has the patient really understood what exactly? The activity that we did on Draw the Bug was about this, to help you See how people perceive differently the information that you give. So as I said, listening plays a huge role, and we have done this activity, and this tells you that actually listening is all about how we really act. A lot of us pretend that we are listening. Even in your program, you'll see a lot of people will be sitting, but they will not be listening. I think somebody's mic is on. Can you please mute your device? Thank you. So there are many types of listener. You will see people who will pretend they're listening. A lot of time you'll see when you go to even a doctor or a nurse, you will be speaking, but they'll pretend they're listening, but they will not be actually listening. A lot of them will actually outrightly showcase that I don't care. I don't care to listen. They will not listen, and they will actually not, really pay any attention. There will be those who are in hurry to answer. And there are those who actually listen to what you are saying. But actually listening is therapeutic, especially when a patient comes to, share their feelings. When I take sessions for the medical professionals, I ask them, a lot of time patients talk things that are not relevant. So how do you handle that? How do you manage that? Any idea? Any idea? How do they handle when patients talk irrelevant things? In a big hospital, corporate hospital where the patient is paying, they cannot outrightly stop the patient. So they either start asking a leading question or a different question to divert the patient's attention. But in a place like government setup, they go to the extent of telling, please stop, I'm not here to listen to your bullshit. Come to the point. Tell me why you are here. Why are you? So a lot of time people, they become rude in the, in their approach, and it's very disheartening to the patient. So again, there they need to learn to assert. Now, assertion here could be, maybe instead of saying like this, that don't talk bullshit with me and come to the point, they could say, आज आप मेरे पास किस लिए आए, अगर मुझे इसके बारे में बताएंगे तो मैं आपको अच्छे से हेल्प कर सकता हूँ. So you're not being disrespectful, or you're not stubbing, but at the same time, you're bringing the patient back to the point and asking the patient to tell what exactly is concern or what he or she wants to you address. So listening happens at different levels, when one is ignoring, when we are ignoring. Second is pretending, that where we pretend to listen. Third is selective listening. Now, what is selective listening?
We hear only what we want to listen. Like in this 90% story, he would forget 90%. He would say success only he will hear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Patients also do selective listening or selective remembering. So we have to be careful when we are talking about the advantages and disadvantages of any procedure or any intervention. We need to emphasize clearly that this is one of the possible complication, or this is one of the possible risk that needs to be explained to the patient or their family member. But usually it is selective listening. So they'll say, "Aapne kaha tha sab theek ho jayega." They will not remember the whole story. And we also have a tendency to listen selectively, whatever is related to us, but a lot of information is related to the patient's diagnosis and treatment that needs to be heard. Then the next level of listening is reflective listening. What is reflective listening?
Ma'am, whatever the patient had said, we are reflecting back in summarizing way. Like, exactly. Are we getting the exact point what they are saying?
So like Reena said, rephrasing in your own words. So whatever patient has said, you are just trying to confirm by rephrasing it, that are we on the same page? And that's a very good way of, confirming what the patient has said. Or for example, if the patient appears upset and is saying something, in reflective listening, I would communicate, I can see you're very upset. It must have been very painful for you. So it's reflective listening. And the highest level of listening is empathetic listening. And what is empathetic listening or empathic listening?
You are listening with an attitude of helping them out. You have empathy. You do action also
Yeah.
for the problem.
So if you are able to imagine yourself in their place, and I think that's one thing that's really required in all healthcare professionals. We require highest level of listening. So if I go by the different levels of listening, I think I have given this slide to you in your booklet, in your course content. The highest three levels are attentive listening, reflective listening, and empathic listening. And these three listening styles need to be practiced throughout your communication with everybody and anybody. And it is not only important to just listen attentively, it's also important to showcase that you are listening attentively. So how can you demonstrate that you're listening attentively? How do you demonstrate?
By nodding our head.
Okay, that's
showing the exact appropriate facial expression, like eye contact.
Eye to eye, making eye contact, very right. What else? Somebody else?
Part of the same topic, you can show your emotion. You can talk back with the same topic, what they are
okay talking. You can continue, facilitate their conversation. That shows that you are listening and you are comprehending and you are trying to facilitate. Wonderful. That's another good idea. What else?
Mirroring technique.
Okay, that's another good idea. Again, that's more like reflective and mirroring. Similar. Very good. What else? Dr. Bala?
Asking questions and feedback.
Yes, when you ask questions, the other person gets to know that, yes, I'm listening to you. Very right. Very true. Dr. Leah, anything from your side?
I had this asking questions in my mind.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Pai, anything from your side?
So I think most of the points have been told. Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Pinky, Captain Sandhya, anything from your side? Okay. So very quickly, first of all, face the person with whom you're talking. Look at the person. That's very important. Sometimes we'll sit like this and the person is sitting on this side, or I'm working on my computer and the person is sitting in front of me. That shows I'm not giving 100% attention. It's very important to face the person. Like when some of you said, make adequate eye contact, especially where we are maintaining, electronic medical record. So a lot of information has to be added simultaneously, but we have to make sure that we are making eye contact with the patient. Third is smile, if appropriate. Do we smile? Do we smile with the patient? No.
Yes, ma'am.
Very less, very infrequently. Only when we feel like smiling. I have a very beautiful, message. I'll share in the next, I'll search it and I'll show you next time. It shows the moment you smile, the complete energy changes. The complete energy changes. It's very important to smile. So when I ask my doctors, why don't you smile? Any idea what is the answer? Patient might misunderstand that I am unwell and you are smiling at me. I said, no, not because of this. We want to maintain a safe distance from the patient. And therefore, we don't want to become casual or friendly with them. And therefore, we have a very blank face. I'll be showing you one slide. So let me quickly go there to show you those slides. And we are just left with 10 more minutes. So I need to really now rush through. But we have had a long discussion on different aspects of communication. So let me quickly, okay, all this we have discussed, different levels of listening. And what we require with the patients and in healthcare is attentive listening, reflective listening, and empathic listening. And active listening has all this. First of all, pay attention. Very important is to withhold judgment. We have a tendency to judge people. We have a tendency to immediately have an idea, oh, this person is going to say this. Like I said, we think that we are mind readers. We need to have patience to allow the other person complete. Make sure that your body language communicates that, yes, I'm listening. Some of you said rephrasing, restating. Again, that's an idea to show that, yes, I'm listening, I'm understanding, and this is what is my understanding. And wherever you think you need to ask, don't hesitate, but ask question. That demonstrates that you are listening. So with patient, listen to them first, confirm to make sure that what you have heard is exactly what the patient wanted you to say. Understand their concern, and then respond with empathy. Now, how do you demonstrate? Very quickly, face the person, make adequate eye contact, smile if appropriate, put things on hold. A lot of time we are doing multitasking. That clearly shows that we are not giving 100% attention. Lean forward to communicate interest. Posture plays a very big role. I'll be showing you a slide about it. Do not do multitasking because patients feel that I'm not given 100% attention. A very good way to communicate that I'm listening to you is nodding. When you nod, that shows that I'm listening, I'm understanding, I'm agreeing with you. When patient is talking or when the other person is talking, avoid interrupting, because interruption is kind of disruption in the flow of what the patient or the other person is saying. And if you need to clarify, ask question once the person has completed. As I said, communication is incomplete without active listening and feedback. Now, what about feedback? How do you take feedback? Any idea? How do you take feedback?
Ma'am, like once we deliver a service and once the patient is going discharge, we take a feedback. We take a feedback on daily morning rounds. How's your stay? Is the food good? Is the cleanliness good? Is the doctor visiting you frequently? Are you able to talk to the doctor? Is the nursing care good? Are you given medication on time? Any complaint? So that ways we keep asking, and while they go, we take online feedback, we take paper form feedback.
So what feedback you are talking about is probably the feedback of the service. Am I right?
Yeah.
What feedback I am trying to talk about is what has the person understood from your communication or from your conversation. So one of the best ways of taking that feedback is called teach back technique. Okay. What is this teach back technique? Can somebody tell me?
Asking, am I clear? Have you understood that thing?
Exactly. If you just simply ask, I hope I have been able to explain you well, and the person would say yes. Can you tell me what have you understood in your words? And the moment you will listen to your patient, you'll get to know how much has the patient really understood. As I said in the last session also, that 50% of the patients and their family members do not understand much when you explain them about their diagnosis or their prognosis or the intervention. That's because they have not actually understood what you have said. Sometimes the speed is too fast. Sometimes the language is too complex. Sometimes we are in hurry to explain and not check what they have understood. But it's very, very important to confirm what have they exactly understood. So two more things that are very, very important. One is empathy in your communication, and second is your attitude. That plays a very big role. Very, very big role. So what do we understand by the word empathy? What do we understand by the word empathy?
Putting yourself in the other person's place and realizing, what the other person is going through.
Exactly. Very true. Very true. But are we really able to use this in our day-to-day handling of patients? That's the sad thing. I think that's it. What is the barrier? What do you think is the barrier? Empathy does not require time, if I'm not wrong. It just requires intention. What is the barrier? What comes in the way?
I think the same thing, that the patient will be more casual and will take more time from us. That is why.
Time.
Okay, that's one thing.
Occupied, yes. We are too occupied, and number one. And second, we are very much driven with what the things which we have to get done. So that's the second thing.
Okay, so we become very
sentences,
mechanical.
it prevents us being empathetic with the people. And
but very honestly, from your experience, does empathy really take time?
you need to spend time to talk, communicate, because it's not that empathy. Patient says, "Mera discharge ho gaya hai." Sorry for everybody's. My discharge is complete, and but I can't go home now. There is nobody, and so if I empathize his situation, I will certainly say, I'll stand there, I'll ask, who's there in your house, and is anybody coming to pick you up? And then I'll realize that it's lunchtime, then cater to his lunch and other things. These things take time. And if I'm too occupied, I'll just ask somebody to take care of him and move on, but let's ensure that he's taken care of and he can stay in the room for that time, have lunch, and then whenever his family is coming, should go.
So that's also empathy.
There's a way to do it. What I'm saying is, if as an individual, I consider myself as an individual getting involved and addressing and displaying empathy, then that demands time, that needs time, that needs attention. And third thing is that needs actually a platform to make a connect to the person to communicate. So these are the barriers also.
But personally, I feel, how many of you really think empathy takes time? I just want to understand. Raise your hand.
So, sorry, I just want to make one statement. So when I realized this, I started using the other methods, that putting someone and ensuring that the thing is done, and later on make a follow-up. So this is how we started.
Good. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to personally get into the situation and do it yourself. It's not practically possible. So empathy is, if you are able to look at things from their point of view and make sure that their needs are met, they are looked after. Because when they come to a hospital, they have set of expectations. Yes. Again, we are going to talk about this in session 5, understanding patient's expectation. So you are not expected to fulfill the expectation yourself, but can you ensure that that's looked after by somebody? So empathy is more like looking at the situation from other person's point of view and trying to see, how can I help this person? The biggest barrier is we are not comfortable handling other person's emotions.
Yes, selfish attitude, I think. Self-centric.
I wouldn't even call it being selfish. We are scared. We are not taught how to handle our emotions or express our emotions in a legitimate manner. Okay. So when I talk to the doctors and I take their session and ask them, why don't we practice empathy? Some of them said, we feel that if we practice empathy, we will get attached with the patient. And it's not right to attach with the patient. So that means there is no clarity about the meaning of empathy and attaching yourself. These are two different things. Empathy does not require attachment. Empathy is when you start looking at the situation from the point of view, how can I help this patient deal with the situation? That's all. And once you go off, you're not carrying any burden with you. So there are 4 kinds of emotions we all experience in healthcare. The first is, for example, a patient has come in, patient is in pain, and I am on emergency duty. I'm doing something and I ask, sit down, and I make that patient wait for good 5 minutes. That's the first one kind of emotion that we all experience, and that is called apathy. That means when I'm not sensitive to the other person's suffering. Second is, I make that person wait for good 10-15 minutes. Now this patient comes to me and starts arguing with me and says that you have made us wait for 10 minutes and you have not called the doctor. What is the point of coming to the emergency when you cannot even provide services on time? And I'm very annoyed with the way this person has talked to me. In the heart of my heart, I'm saying, I'm not going to see you for another 10 minutes. This is antipathy. The third emotion that we all experience is, a lady comes with a child who is crying. The child is crying and the mother is crying because the child is unwell. Seeing that lady cry, even I start crying. That is sympathy. So all these 3 emotions are not required, not appropriate. The correct emotional response to the patient suffering is empathy, where I can see the patient suffering, and in my conscious mind, I am making my effort to make sure how I can reduce the patient's suffering. But I am not attaching myself with the patient. A very thin line difference between empathy and sympathy is, Empathy is feeling with the person. Sympathy is feeling for the person. You don't have to feel for the patient. It's not pity, but feeling with the patient so that I can help this patient calm down or reduce the suffering. So I don't sink myself. I don't drown with the patient. I stay afloat and I help the patient, recover from this. That's what is the purpose of empathy. So when you start practicing empathy, you will not judge the patient. You will not blame the patient. You will not even get angry with the patient, because you'll understand, it's not the patient, it is the disease that's bothering him. And that's why the patient is behaving like that. So a lot of, such situations can be handled very well if we start practicing empathy. Second is positive attitude. Now it's 9:05. Are you okay if we spend another 5 minutes? Everybody's okay with that? I know it's your dinner time and you must be really, hungry, but just 5 more minutes and I'll close the session here. So very important thing that we really need to inculcate in our, healthcare professionals is positive attitude. Whether we know or not, our attitude gets reflected on our face. You cannot hide your attitude. And the other statement I want to make here is your attitude decides your quality of life. And the best example that I give to my audience is, which you can use in your situation. I normally, start with a story when I try to explain them the importance of right attitude. There was a building being made. It was being constructed and laborers were, working on the building. So somebody who was passing by that road stood in front of the building and he asked one of the laborers, "What are you doing?" The laborer said, "I am earning my bread and butter. I'm getting my livelihood from here. It's more like job for me. So I'll get money and I'll feed my children. That's what I'm doing. This is my livelihood." He went to the next laborer and he asked, "What are you doing?" He was a little frustrated and angry. He said, "Are you blind? Can't you see I'm breaking these stones?" He went to the third one and he asked, "What are you doing?" So he took this gentleman to one side and there was a map pasted on the notice board. He said, "A beautiful temple is coming here and I'm building the temple." And you will see these examples in your workplace. A lot of staff will come on duty just for the sake of their income or their salary. Some of them will be always frustrated, unhappy, blaming others and the system and patients and everybody. There'll be very few, just handful of them, who would actually value their work. And they are the people who are running the show. And that's the importance of positive attitude. See, 3 people doing the same task, but with a different mindset. And the quality of your outcome would be definitely different when you're working with a different mindset. And that's the importance of attitude. And it gets reflected in our body language, on our facial expressions, on the tone of our voice, on our selection of words, of even handling these situations that we are handling. I think that's very, very important. And that is one thing we really need to bring in our healthcare professionals. So you'll have to make sure that if you're able to bring that change in their mindset, definitely you will see a change in their performance. I think I'll stop here. We are still to cover the body language part. We have covered language, paralanguage, and with paralanguage, I've covered the perception, empathy, and positive attitude because they were related to your tone of voice and your paralanguage. So we are left with the third part, and that is body language. We'll be covering it tomorrow when we meet, before we start with the third topic. Any questions about whatever we have discussed till now?
What time are we meeting tomorrow?
I think we decided at 8 o'clock because Dr. Anuradha is comfortable at 8. So we are meeting from 8 to 10. I hope that's comfortable to everybody. So I'll share the Zoom link in the morning to all of you and let's meet tomorrow. So shall I quickly share the feedback form to all of you so that you can complete the feedback?
Just one point I want to tell, madam.
Sure.
From the point of view of a healthcare worker, there is also something called compassion fatigue. So it is something related to the maturity of the individual who should, not mix his personal life with professional life, and able to, see each patient as a new person. Like, we have heard about Sachin Tendulkar, mentioning somewhere how he concentrates at each ball at a time. No, it is not that the previous one, he has to be focused on each patient. The doctor has to focus on each patient. Don't bring the old, experiences into the new patient. That is where your problem of, that apathy comes, apathy. So that level of maturity is also important for him to keep, be in silos, certain things kept in different silos, and they not mixing with each other. Just I thought.
I think you have raised a very important point, which exactly I meant, but probably did not elaborate on empathy.
Yeah.
When you are practicing empathy, actually it gives you a lot of positive energy. It doesn't fatigue you actually.
Yeah.
Empathy will never fatigue you. Empathy will rather give you satisfaction that you derive from your work. Because when you will go back with this satisfaction that, okay, you contributed to somebody's recovery or somebody's health or somebody's, a situation, that satisfaction itself is enough to give us that positive hormone release in our body, and it takes us forward. If anybody is getting fatigued with empathy, then that person is not practicing empathy. That person is burdening himself. So that person needs to really check, am I really practicing empathy in real sense? Because in empathy, like for example, I do counseling, I do all sorts of stories from my clients. I help them in this session, but after I end this session, I don't carry that with me. I think that's something very right. As you said, it comes with practice, it comes with maturity, because usually we have a tendency to think about it, talk about it, even later on carry on with us, and then, keep thinking about it. So I think you're right. We need to really leave it, like we remove our apron or our uniform, we need to actually, go back with very clean heart and clean mind, not taking any burden from the place of God. I am getting what you are trying to say, but that's a very good point, that what you have added. So I have sent the feedback form in the chat box. If you could quickly touch and see if it's working. Again, the feedback form is very simple. It's working?
Yeah, it's working. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So I have received 8 responses as of now. Three more to go. Okay, 9. I've received 10 responses. Sharmishta, are you there?
I have done them. I have sent.
Okay, have you sent?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So I think I'm just one more person. Yeah, okay, all 11 have done. So thank you so much. I think we'll end this session here. It's already 9:15. Sorry for taking extra 15 minutes. Although I thought we'll finish in 2 hours, but then I know this is how the discussion goes on. So anything that you wish to say before we close?
We didn't feel the time passing so fast.
Yeah, it passed early, quite fast.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, and have a great evening ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good day, ma'am. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
So let's meet tomorrow at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.